So the night before, this is step one. We're going to hydrate. Oh. So step one, we're going to hydrate the beans overnight. This is 1 pound of red kidney beans. We're going to want to give them a good rinse. And then we're going to try to pick out some of these weird looking ones, like that one. Maybe any that aren't, that are broken. First, we'll give them a good little rinse in water, just to get any weird dirt or anything off of them that was left behind. I like to do a couple of rinses. Whenever I'm rinsing anything, I do it a couple of times. I'm going to fill it up with about 1 inch of water on top. A general rule is stick your finger in it, and it should only come up to that first knuckle, and that's about 1 inch, roughly. Right? It's not an exact science. Now this sits for 8 hours and rehydrates. Red beans and rice, something I've never tried before, but I thought I'd make it up. Sounded good. Sounded easy. Most likely, I just played a little bit of a video of me setting this up last night. Make sure you read the instructions. I did this wrong. I put my finger in and left 1 inch of water on top. When I woke up earlier this morning, though, all the water was gone. These beans suck up way more water than I thought. So I put more water in and recovered it, and it's been sitting there for like another 4 hours. Make sure you read the package, because I went back and I looked at the package, and it said use 10 cups of water for 1 pound of beans. I didn't realize they would suck up so much water. So this is my improvised recipe. Like I said, I was just kind of looking at other things. So it's not going to be necessarily true to a total Cajun meal. Some of it is just stuff I had laying around. I tried to do a lot more spices than actually chopping onions and garlic to make it a little easier. Basically, trying to figure out a super quick and easy meal. Things you're going to need: white rice. So I've got white rice here. This is long grain. I got it from the Asian food section. I think this is a Dynasty white rice. As long as it's long grain white rice, should be good. We're going to try 1 pound of the dried beans, which we've already gotten into. 1 pound of chicken, extra virgin olive oil, some green pepper, and maybe some carrot for a little something a little additional, so it's not just beans and rice and chicken. And this is my spice mix. And then just some quick instructions that I tried to go through to just kind of get an idea of my steps that I had to make. Like, once again, I haven't done this before, first time trying it. So we'll see how it turns out. Not really sure how this is going to play out in terms of flavor, but we have some other good flavors here, so it should be pretty good, even if it isn't super Cajun. So as you can see, tablespoon onion powder, teaspoon garlic, teaspoon salt, 1.5 teaspoon paprika, 1.5 teaspoon black pepper, 1.5 teaspoon basil, 1/2 teaspoon celery salt, 1/2 teaspoon cayenne pepper. If all is going well and I can edit this just right, you're probably watching a time lapse of me mixing these. I was using a little plate to just kind of control all the spices and not... Every time I do spice, it just gets everywhere. It's so hard to control. And then I'm using a butter knife to level off the spices in my little measuring teaspoons and tablespoons there. Then also you'll see that I'm grinding up black pepper. I don't have just a container of black pepper, so I had to grind it all up by hand, which wasn't horrible. It was just messy. And when all is said and done, this is my spice mixture. It's got a good smell to it. You can even taste it if you like. You know, the end product isn't going to taste exactly like that, but That's actually really nice. I think that's a little closer to Cajun flavor than I thought it was going to be. And I'm definitely missing some spices in here that are more Cajun based, but I'm just working with what I got. So let's talk chicken. I want to shoot for about a pound of chicken. I bought 2 kinds from the grocery store. I've got chicken thighs and I've got chicken breasts. Chicken thighs are my absolute favorite. I prefer dark meat, and not only that, they generally have more fat on them than the breasts. Just better flavor, in my opinion. But I know not everybody likes chicken thighs, so I got some breasts as well. So I thought I'd try to do a 50-50 mix of thighs and breasts. I personally am not a big fan of the breasts. So the first thing you do when you buy chicken from the grocery store is you gotta rinse it. Because this comes from the factory and it's covered in all sorts of stuff like salts and other preservatives to help keep it fresh longer. So we just kind of want to wash it with some water and get anything off of it that might be kind of weird. We're also going to do some trimming of it, and we'll get into that in a second. Oh. So this is how I generally set up in my tiny little apartment for when I'm trying to rinse and prepare chicken for any kind of a meal. We'll go grab a knife. So let's start with some breasts. Like I said, first thing we want to do is get just all that stuff off that's coming off the chicken, right? We're gonna throw all this chicken into this bowl, discard the container and this weird little chicken tampon packet. Little side note, after I trim this up, I'll have like little bits of meat and crap that I'll throw away as well. But between the little bits of extra chicken and this little package that sucks up all sorts of the juice that comes out of it, if you throw this directly into your trash can, by the next day, your apartment's gonna smell like crap. So generally when I do all this, I put it in a separate bag, and then I just take the garbage out right away so it doesn't smell. Yeah, first thing we're gonna do, just rinse off the chicken. You'll see, oh, I'm gonna have to move my bowl here. So as you can see, right, just a little bit of water, you can see how it's getting cloudy, and that's just a lot of the salts and other stuff that they pump into this stuff coming off of it. You know, don't be scared to use your hands, because then you find stuff like this. I'm not sure what this was, but I could feel what it was because it's hard and it's like chicken bones and grizzle, but it was like stuck underneath this chunk here. Good enough. So now we can start to trim. The thighs generally have way more stuff going on, so they're a little more labor intensive to trim than say a breast. A breast is pretty straightforward. It's all just this one chunk of meat here. Chicken thighs, sometimes at the factory they don't get all the grizzle and veins out, so I'll just kind of pick through. You know, you can, when you look at a chicken breast, there's I guess I'm not even really sure all the parts, right? But there's this skin side and then the more internal muscle structure, and I just kind of pull out all these veins here, and you know, it's easier to do with your hand. You know, anything like these little blood chunks here, and then anything that doesn't look good, like you can see this fat right here. There's like a weird brown spot on it, which is typical. You know, it's not weird, it's not abnormal to see. I don't know what that is, I'm not eating it. Also, like I mentioned, there's more fat. The fat is flavor. I generally don't take a lot of it off, but I will take some of it off if it looks like it's got a little more, or if it's a big chunk. And, you know, when I'm like prepping chicken, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Usually I just kind of don't think too much and just kind of go for some general sizes. So fold it over, make some longer strips, maybe about 3/4 of an inch, then kind of come back. You'll see that I'm keeping my fingers tucked in so I don't accidentally cut myself. Oh, uh-oh. And that's it. So, you know, that's great for frying up and throwing in a pan. Perfect. It'll mix well with this recipe because it's just, you know, it's going to be chunks of chicken in rice and beans. So here I can feel a bone right here. So I'm going to get rid of it. You know, these weird veins, usually just do my best to try to grab it with my hand. chicken breast. This is a lot more straightforward, not nearly as many nooks and crannies as the thigh. For this, it looks like something happened to it here, so I might trim away a little bit there. Just not really sure what all that is. But yeah, that's good. It's all good. It's all chicken. So with chicken breasts, like I said, I think it's the thickness of it. You know, we kind of want to keep all the chicken parts the same size. So I might try to fillet this. You don't have to do this, but it'll help get me some smaller pieces. And then I'm cutting across the grain actually, so with that long cook time, it should kind of help shred it with the red beans and rice, and we'll get more like shredded chicken chunks. I should actually try to go a little bigger with the breast, I think, and then might be able to get these longer strands of chicken, kind of like a pulled chicken. We'll see how that plays out. Nothing's an exact science, right? We're just cooking, we're having fun. Chopping up the chicken. Look at how many weird things are going on in this thigh. Just lots of like tendons and other tissues. But this is the superior meat, in my opinion. Generally what I do is, you know, you can put it the skin side down, and that's where now I'm looking at everything I want to seed, because this is where generally all the weird stuff is. And then I can just kind of generally grab it and pull it out. You might get some stubborn stuff every now and then, but... And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I'm gonna leave pretty much all the rest of the fat on, because the fat in the thighs, the extra fat in the thighs should balance out the fact that there isn't much fat in a breast. So I think that it'll just work out way better. Sweet. So now I got all my chicken here. I'm just gonna really try to I gotta mix it up for one, right? Because I got chunks of breast and thigh in here and chunks of fat and everything. And I want pretty much an even split 50-50. Remember, this is 2 pounds of chicken and I'm only using half of it. Oh. Alright, so I took a few minutes to just clean everything up, and I'm looking in my fridge and just to see what vegetables I got, and I don't have much, but I figure throwing something in there is better than nothing. So just like with chicken, vegetables you want to rinse too, so I usually just give them a good blast of water, rub them down with my hand. Just make sure anything on there, anything that might be lurking is gone. I mean, with a carrot, it's a little more easy to see why there's visible dirt. You don't have to get too crazy with the carrot because we're gonna use a peeler anyway. So in terms of chopping, no, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna say. So I got my cutting board. I got my cutting board all cleaned up. You know, usually you're supposed to only cut meat on one side and vegetables on the other. With this, I know that my vegetable side is the one with the logo. I've had this bamboo cutting board forever and it's lasted a long time, so I just picked it up from the grocery store. Not bad. But, you know, with a carrot, we want to peel it. My peeler was hiding in the garbage disposal last time I used it, so didn't find it till late, but it'll still work. The most important part is still sharp. Carrot done. Actually, that's a lie. It's not done yet. I need to chop it up so I can throw it in my dish. You know, everybody's got their own way of cutting. Easiest way to do this is probably cutting it the long way, I think. Once again, you know, I'm making this shit up as I go along, so probably not the best advice. It's gotta work, I guess. I don't know. And then remember, we're just kind of chopping it up to what size bites we want. I think I want to go for some smaller bites, something maybe you'd find in like a fried rice. Something to think about is, especially when you're chopping up vegetables, is the bigger the chunks, the longer they'll take to cook through. The smaller the chunks, the quicker. So we're gonna go for some small chunks. And if you wanted them to be a little more crunchy in the final product or have a little more texture, you probably would want to cut them a little bigger. So, not really sure exactly how much we're gonna end up with here at the end. This is a little more off the cuff. Really wasn't sure how much I wanted to put in. I'd just kind of eyeball it to see what looks good. I think I'm shooting for about little 1/4-inch pieces right now. Make sure to keep your fingers tucked. You don't want to lose a thumb. So green pepper. Green pepper's a little different to cut. A lot of different ways you can cut up a green pepper. The most important part is just what you leave behind, I guess, with a green pepper. We don't want any of this white stuff. Not even sure what that is. What are you? And then get rid of the seeds. We don't want any of that either. You can quarter it and then use your knife to just kind of trim out some of that white stuff. Watch your thumb. And I always usually keep like a little trash tray nearby. Alright, that looks pretty good. And kind of like with the carrot now, we're going to go for like long strips. It's been a while since I cut a green pepper. I think I like to keep... This side is way slicker. So if you have it on the cutting board, it has a tendency to slide a little more. If you cut it with this side down, it seems like it doesn't move so much. Half a green pepper looks good, and then I'll wrap that up and save that for something else. It's not an exact science, we're just winging it. Well, I think it's time to give her a go, huh? So this is my pot. This is an oven-safe pot, so I can use it on the stovetop, or I can throw this on and chuck it in the oven. What is this? This is a Calphalon? Okay. I thought it said what it was at the bottom. It doesn't anymore, but I loved that pot so much I bought 2. Here's a different one that you can still visibly see. It's 5 quart. So let's start her off. Beans. Now, these have been soaking long enough. No way they're not rehydrated now. I don't think I want this water, so I'm gonna strain this. Ooh, baby. All right. So we start by cooking the chicken, so I need to get this up to temperature, probably medium heat, and we're gonna need some olive oil to start. I got my spice mix, 6 cups of water for the beans. So let's get the rest of the stuff out here. So my vegetables that I prepped earlier and my chicken, boom, pot. So now we're just gonna wait for it to heat up a bit. Basically, I think I'm just gonna wait until I can feel the heat with my hand coming off of it. I can definitely feel the heat coming off, so we're gonna put about a tablespoon of oil in here. You can measure it out, but I'm gonna just eyeball it. I have a general idea how much that is. Easy peasy. In goes the chicken. Oh yeah! We're just throwing stuff around. And then since my chicken was so cold, I lost all my heat. So I really should have actually probably, to start, just had this up super hot just to start. It's probably not a great move. Once again, first time I'm doing this recipe, Okay, so I got the heat cranked up to about 8 now. I'm going to kind of just wait for this to kind of warm back up and get some of that moisture out of there. Now we wait. It helps if you kind of keep moving stuff around. So since we have it on high, you're going to want to keep a good eye on it. Make sure nothing starts sticking, because as soon as, you know, some of this water starts evaporating, we're going to want to definitely get it back down to medium. Otherwise, we're going to get in trouble real quick. Okay, so it's been going, I haven't been watching the clock. It's got to been going for, oh boy. There's a clock in front of me. I wasn't even watching it. Maybe 4 or 5 minutes so far on high. And as I'm moving stuff around, I can actually see there's a lot less water in the bottom, so I think I'm going to crank it down to about 6. So now I'm kind of getting to that point where I feel bits of it sticking to the bottom. So now I'm going to make sure it's definitely back down to medium, because really my goal now is just to get it, I want to brown everything. Getting some good brown coloring on the chicken will get us lots of good flavor. Just keep stirring it. So you can see some of the pieces of chicken are already getting a little brown, which is good. It's kind of what we want. Oh, I almost forgot. We gotta throw this in there too. Damn. So this is actually getting pretty good. Should throw... Yeah, let's just throw this in. Why not? I kind of don't know what I'm doing. We're just winging it. And you know what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to pull and actually, just for a little educational purposes, all this brown stuff at the bottom is what you want. This is all fond, I think. What do they call this? It's all delicious flavor. So I'm just going to use a little bit of the 6 cups of water. And you'll see that putting just a little bit of liquid on there actually hydrates that enough to get it off the bottom of the pot. So right now I'm scraping all that off. And that is what you want. That is the good stuff right there. Of course I killed all the heat in my pan, but it'll eventually come back up. Right now I'm just trying to focus on scraping all that delicious brown fond off the bottom. Yeah. And now I think I'll turn it back up maybe just a little bit, just to kind of get the heat back to where it was. All right. So I think I'm gonna, we'll keep her at about 6. So if you end up getting more brown fond at the bottom, don't worry about it. Just remember when we end up pouring the rest of this water in with the beans, you'll want to just make sure you can scrape the bottom of it with your spatula. And you won't be able to see it, but you'll be able to feel it with your spatula. We just want to keep stirring, trying to get some good color on all the pieces. Once again, we've got some more fond at the bottom, so I think to avoid it, to stop it from actually burning, becoming more burnt than providing flavor, I'm just going to add a little water to scrape it up. You know what? I think this is good to go. So now, if all the recipes have served me right and don't steer me wrong, we are just going to dump this in. 1 pound of beans. What's left of our 6 cups of water. And then my impromptu spice mix. And now what we're going to want to do is get this simmering for the next 1.5 to 2 hours. I'm going to just crank up the heat a little more. I don't want it boiling, I just want to simmer. So I want to see just some light bubbling. I almost forgot when we do this, we got to put the cover on. So what I think I'm going to actually do is I'm going to crank it up to high because I'd like to get a rolling boil going. Then when I get to the rolling boil, I'll turn it back down to like medium-low heat. I also forgot one thing. We should have added about 3 more tablespoons of olive oil. So we can make it in now. And you could add a little bit of butter too. We want to get some more fat back in there because chicken is relatively lean for meat. Jesus! Don't walk away from it too long, otherwise that happens. God damn it, Tom. Ooh, so let's crank that down to low. Okay, but we're still fine. I caught it early. So 2 was the number for my stove. We're just all over the place, but we are looking good. Oh, hell yeah. So I am right where I want to be. It smells great. Everything's looking good. I got my slow roll boil going. So I'm going to just let it chill for the next hour, and we should be on our way. Okay, so we are an hour and a half in on this. Let's see, we'll set the timer for another 30 minutes. Ooh, let's see how she's doing. It's all coming together. Smells delicious. So now we need to do the rice. I actually should have probably started it a little bit ago, but rice is pretty easy. I'm not gonna do a lot of rice. I'm gonna try a little bit in this because I don't know if I've ever made rice in this. This is the only little pan I got. Or, sorry, a little pot. I usually use a rice cooker, but we'll give this a go. Rice is pretty simple. It's just a ratio. 1 part rice, 2 parts water. So I'm gonna do half a cup of rice to 1 cup of water. The biggest thing that people probably screw up about rice is they don't rinse it. You have to rinse this rice. You have to rinse all rice. It's a grain right from the field. There's a lot of crap on here and extra starch, and we want fluffy rice. So, got my half a cup of rice and pour a little water in. And basically all you have to do is just keep moving it around. And you'll see that the water gets pretty milky looking right away, right? And that's that extra starch coming off. So we're gonna do that a few times. So we're gonna put our rice in our pot here. And like I said, 2 to 1, right? Add a little salt. I like to put just a little bit of olive oil as well. Then we're going to just throw that right on a hot burner. Now what we want to do is just get this Now what we do is want to just get this boiling. So what we're going to do is get this boiling, and as soon as it gets to a rolling boil, you're going to put your top on, turn your heat to low, and then don't touch it. Do not lift the lid up. Do nothing to it for 18 minutes. Okay, it's almost up to a boil. Just gonna do a little, I'm just scraping the bottom because I can feel some rice sticking here, but almost ready to top off here. Basically good enough, right? So all we did, we got it to a boil, top on. Hopefully your top is a little tighter than mine. That's why I'm a little nervous about this. And then I'm just turning this down to low. So now, that's it. It should sit for about 18 minutes. And I got 22 minutes left on this. So, we'll come back 18 minutes, check on the rice, and not too long after, we'll finish that up. Booyah! Oh, snap, the timer went off. Let's see how our rice did. Now, I did not take this top off at all. And we got rice. Ooh, all right. Now you just want to fluff it up a little. And I'll probably, should probably just put it into a different cold, at least not freezing, but a different bowl or something, just so it doesn't continue to cook. Ooh. Perfect rice every time. Easy. Rice is so easy. As long as you follow the rules, you cannot screw rice up. The timer just went off, so this has been going for 2 hours now. Let's check it out. Ooh, goddamn. This is looking good. Let me try some of these beans here. Oh! This is that bowl that I just had the water in. Okay. That's pretty good, actually. Because there's one thing I've seen people do with red beans and rice. A lot of places online say you should scoop some beans out. So we'll try this and see what happens. I don't know how I'm gonna get just the beans and not the meat. Well, shit. What I'm trying to do is get just some beans out, and then you're supposed to smash them up into like, you know, like a bean, mashed beans. Helps give it a better texture and makes it creamier. Since I added the chicken in, I think that kind of goes in the other direction. Because now I'm gonna just mash the chicken up as well. But you'll see that that actually is turning into like a definitely way more creamier than it was when I first put it in there. Okay. Now let's pour this back in. It's actually, it's almost like adding milk or cream back into a soup. It's pretty cool. So what I think I'm gonna do now is stir that back in. Maybe try to sit here and smash some more beans up. And it still is a little watery. So I think I'm gonna turn the heat up, probably go for a medium, and I'm gonna let it cook for a little bit, just with the top off, so I can get rid of some more of this moisture. Okay, so it's actually been a half an hour, and I dropped it down. Oh, I thought I had it at 3. I just tweaked it. So I dropped it down to 3 or 4, and I just let it kind of sit for another half an hour to try to thicken up. I think what happened was, I think there was more moisture in the beans than I thought. So I think I had too much water in there. We're just, we got it on low, and we're just trying to get some of that moisture out of there. But it is slowly getting good. Okay. So it's been just a few more minutes, and then I actually I wanted to try it because I wanted to see how those flavors were, and they're not kind of where I was hoping. It's really peppery, and then I'm not really getting much of anything else. So I can't really take pepper out, but I don't know if that's necessarily what I want to do, but I want to kind of have some of those other flavors really pull through. So I'm going to try to add more onion, garlic, and salt. And I think I needed more salt because I guess I didn't really realize how much the beans are carbohydrates. So you got to have a lot of salt for carbohydrates to, you know, help that flavor come through. Kind of like with a potato chip, or at least I think. Anyway, so I'm going to add this back in. And we're going to try to do, I mean, I've got like the thickness that I want now. And now I just kind of want to see if I can improve on the flavors some. So I'm going to throw the spices back in here. I want to mix it up really good. And since I think I'm at my consistency that I want, I'm going to throw that top back on, and we're going to leave her at low. And we're just going to let it sit for, say, a half hour, just to let those spices kind of integrate back into it and do its job with the beans and distribute some flavor into everything. And we'll come back and we'll give her another taste. Hopefully, I don't ruin it. Yeah! Close enough. Okay, we're back. It's been a half an hour later. I just added those extra spices. Let's see how we did. Wow. See, this is kind of what I was looking for. Because, you know, red beans and rice, the whole point of it is that it's supposed to complement well with the rice. So this should be a smack in the face with flavor. And then this should... So this should be really flavorful, and then this should kind of help balance that out. But it looks good. But how does it taste? Lots of chicken in there. Oop. Beans. You can still see some of the carrots. I don't even see any green pepper. It just dissolved. All the green pepper is just gone into the flavor. Oh yeah, perfect. That's awesome. Let's see how we do with some of this. Now that's something I could serve. All right. So, lessons learned. Probably lessons learned. Added 2 tablespoons overall. I upped it to 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of salt. You know, and after kind of tasting it now, I'm gonna go back to the 1.5. So that's all good. We'll keep that. And then this right here kind of threw me off. I'm wondering if this should be 5 or 4. Actually, I should let me just, not write numbers backwards. So 4 to 5 cups. Because, eventually you can, eventually you can always cook off the excess water, but, it took extra time, right? So it's been easily an hour longer than I thought for dinner, but we got there. And so maybe about 5 cups of water or 4 cups of water, and then add water as you kind of slowly start cooking. All right. So this was something new. Turned out pretty decent, probably not like, the best beans and rice in the world, but I would not feel bad about serving this as dinner. Yeah, that's good. So I'm calling it. Now, this is way more than I need. So I'll probably pack it up. Maybe freeze a bunch of it for a couple of weeks down the line. Thanks for hanging out. Like and subscribe or don't. I don't really give a fuck. But thanks for watching. Peace.